Peace, peace. What's up? What's happening? The reason for this video is because my name is Ra'im Hotep, and I am broadcasting on behalf of 13signsastrology.com. That's the number 13, signs plural, and that's astrology.com. And just doing this video because I want to clear up a few things to my fellow listening audience out there who are trying to get into the music industry. Some of you are in the music industry already, and some of you have aspirations to get in the music industry. And this is for all those artists out there that are trying to get into the music industry. Now, I get a lot of inquiries from different people that are in the music industry. Some are behind the scenes, some are producers, things of that nature. And the reason why they inquire to me is because, one, I've wrote several articles pertaining to the music industry and pertaining to the occult aspect of the music industry. So therefore, I get a lot of entertainers that reach out to me. And I'm actually working on setting up an independent entertainer network, which is something that I'm working on right now, but so that I can help these individuals. But I want to go ahead and just put out this video just as a beacon of light. I mean, there's really no big financial purpose for this. I'm doing this just to help out those entertainers. If you're an entertainer listening to this, or if you know an entertainer who's trying to get into the music industry, I would suggest you put them onto this video. But I'm going to go into how the music industry is really controlled. Now, as you know, in some of my videos, I've already talked about how I don't deal with the concept of the Illuminati the way most people deal with it. I don't necessarily believe in the concept of the Illuminati being a physical chartered organization, meaning they have a piece of paper chartered organization that they issue out temples that are up under a organization called the Illuminati. I haven't seen a chartered organization as of yet. Now, I know it used to be an organization called the Illuminati back in the late 1700s, started by Adam Weishaupt. I'm very familiar with that. I've been studying the occult and Illuminati and things of that nature for over 10 years, maybe even close to 15 years. So, I mean, I've read William Cooper, I've read all of that, so I know all about the Illuminati. But what I'm dealing with here is that how the control goes down in the music industry, because the control is definitely present in the music industry. The control is definitely present in the music industry. And I'm going to walk you through how they get you as far as to get up under their jurisdiction. That's a key word, how they get you up under their jurisdiction and their control. And they do this, I'm going to start with the occult aspect first. And it actually links into the mundane aspect of how they do it, because they use the occult to tie you in physically. That's how they do it. So they get you to sign all business that goes down the music industry, and even in other industries. I mean, like, this isn't just for the music industry, this is for other industries, but let's focus on the music industry. All business and all, I guess you could say, like, work and everything that goes down in the music industry, all of that takes place up under the law of contracts. The law of contracts was actually something that was created based on the occult realm, and that's what I'm going to start off with. It carried over into the mundane society as far as like dealing with commerce and things of that nature, and I can go into that too because I've studied the UCC codes, and I know all about the UCC codes, and that's how they use contracts as far as like in the secular aspect of society. But I'm speaking of the contract that's dealing in the occult, and this is how they get your energy. Any contract that you sign is basically you're signing yourself over. If you're signing this contract, you're signing yourself over and your services over in the future. You're signing yourself over and your services over in the future. And that's the key word. You're signing over your future when you sign a contract. Anytime you sign a contract, it's dealing with the future. There are contracts, you can do short-term contracts that deal with the present, but most of these entertainers, when they get into the music industry, they sign advanced deals, and they have to make a certain amount of albums or whatever, like it may be 3 usually or whatever, but they have to cut a certain amount of albums or songs or singles, and they're signing over their future, meaning that they're tied to this label and they have to meet their end of the bargain. A contract is a bargain. It comes from a term that means bargain. So when you sign a contract, you're making a bargain with another party. So what they're doing is that they're signing over their future, and that's a deep occult thing. And they're doing this. This actually was something that was started through the Kabbalah. This was something that was started through the Kabbalah, and many people associate the Kabbalah with the Jews, and and things of that nature. But I mean, the Kabbalah or the Tree of Life is something that goes back to ancient Kemet as well, which actually goes back to the Metu Neter, believe it or not. And the Kabbalah was something that Tahuti brought over and introduced to the so-called Jews or people of that land in Palestine or whatnot, and he introduced that information to them. But the Kabbalah is something that's used by the Jews, definitely. It's the Tree of Life. But as far as when I'm dealing with the Kabbalah, when you sign a contract, you are signing over your future, and you're signing an agreement with it's based on a spiritual thing or whatever. Like, because like when you incarnated here, you made an agreement with the spiritual realm to come here. And you made this agreement in a certain plane of the Kabbalah. Like, I mean, the Kabbalah is very technical, and I'm trying to just kind of like touch on it. But they have different realms in the Kabbalah. They have the realm of Malakut, which is where we are now, but they have different Sephiroths, is what they call it. And you make an agreement when you incarnated here. You signed an agreement to come here on this plane. So what the Jews did, and the people that control the music industry, is they used the same concept of the Kabbalah to get people to sign an agreement to their future and coming into the music industry. So when they incarnated into the music industry, they use the same spiritual concept. I hope this is making sense, because this is what it means to the occult. So they take that same occult principle as far as you signing and making an agreement to come here and incarnate in the flesh. You sign and make an agreement to incarnate into your entertainment act, or whoever you are. Like, so say for instance, Nas, his name is Nasir Jones, but on stage his name is Nas. So when he signed to become Nas, he signed an agreement to become Nas, meaning that basically Nasir Jones is now Nas, and the labels or whoever he signed this agreement with owned Nas for a certain period of time, meaning that he had to make a certain amount of albums for whatever label that he was up under, and he was obligated to them. And this is how they get you, because most artists and entertainers know nothing of the laws of contracts. So when they come to the labels, they come to the labels, they don't know anything about contracts. So they come to the labels as a flesh and blood being, and when they sign off with and put their signature on the dotted line, they convert them over to a corporation. They convert them over to a corporation, and they control that corporation. The corporation is the stage name that particular artist is using. So, I mean, and I'm not trying to pick on Nas or anything, but I'm just using Nas for an example. He's one of my favorite artists. I mean, I don't know what his agreement is now, but I'm saying, like, as far as this is the basis of it. So the stage name Nas, they own that name. And proof of this can be found in Prince, because Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince, changed his name over to just the artist or whatever. And I'm not sure what he's calling himself now, but I believe his name is just the artist. And he used to be called Prince, and the reason why he had to give up that name is because when he signed over with these Jews that deal with the Kabbalah, he signed over his flesh and blood entity, into the name Prince. And the only way for him to get away from this deal was for him to go into the art of contracts and to learn and master this. And he began to do his own contracts and sign his own deals, and he set up his own corporation. And from there, he changed his name. He had to give up the name Prince. I believe that Mos Def did the same thing. The artist formerly known as Mos Def. He's calling himself Yasin Bey now. It's the same concept. He had to let go of the contract that owned him through the name of Mos Def, and he had to basically start a whole nother stage name and a whole nother act. And he had to become a free agent and give up that name, because once they sign over and get into the music industry, once they get you and sign your stage name over, you're stuck with them. And most of these artists, they don't know how to form their own corporation, so they come as like a straight up flesh and blood individual or flesh and blood entity. And that's not how you do business, because if you deal in the real business world, corporations deal with other corporations. So they can't deal with a flesh and blood entity. So what they do is turn you over into a corporate faction or a corporate person. And that's what they're doing in the music industry. It's the same thing that's happening in many other industries, but I'm just focusing on the music industry. So these guys just really, and women, aren't intelligent, and they don't have the proper legal representation around them, or people in their families that know the law, because it's all about the law. So the reason why artists are controlled in the music industry is based on them signing over and signing a deal with certain entities and certain corporations, and they convert them over into corporations, and therefore they own them. They own them. Now, many of you hear about this concept of artists having to do blood sacrifices and things of that nature. Now, there is a dark side to the music industry. There is a group, a secret occult group that deals with an old religion, and in this old religion, they deal in blood sacrifice. In this old religion that these so-called, I mean, I'm not going to really say it's the Jews, but it definitely is the Jews, but it's a part of a secret society, though, so they're not called Jews or whatever. But it's a certain secret society that's within the music industry that still deals in the dark side, in the occult realm, and they practice an old religion. And in order for like an artist to get to the point where he's a superstar or she's a superstar, like your big names out there, which I'm not going to really name your big names because these people's names are copyrighted. But I'm not going to go into it, but like your big names or whatever, they have to sign a big deal. Like anybody that's making like over $20 million have to sign this big deal, and they have to basically get into this secret society which practices an old-time religion and where they deal with blood sacrifice. And they worship lower entities. Now, the reason why they do this blood sacrifice from an occult perspective, I studied blood sacrifice in depth. They do this blood sacrifice because of the power that they get from the blood of the entity that they offer up or that they sacrifice. It's a level of power that the demon on the other side, he feeds off of that power. And you attract this demon that they're dealing with. You attract him through blood, through flesh and blood. And this is how it goes down or whatever. And this is an old occult practice. I'm not making this stuff up. You can go and research this stuff. They've dealt with blood sacrifice. Even in the Bible, they dealt with blood sacrifice. If you remember, Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice one of his sons to a certain god of Moloch. They worship this god named Moloch, and Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice one of his sons to this god. They call him God in the Bible, but see, what you got to realize is that there's many gods in the Bible, and it's a certain god that Abraham was getting ready to sacrifice himself over to before he began to worship the Most High. I mean, before he began to worship the Most High, he was worshiping a lesser god or what you would call a demon, but this is an entity that's basically a bloodthirsty entity that will, if you make a pact with this demon, they'll give you a certain amount of power. If you sacrifice one of your family members, they'll promise you a certain amount of power. And this stuff, it definitely works, I mean, from an occult perspective, but it's lower energy and lower vibration. So, I mean, the type of occultist that I am, I deal with high magic. I don't deal with low magic. I don't deal with any type of magic that's below the navel, because all of this magic that's going on with them is below the navel. That's why they deal with sex magic and things of that nature. So yeah, they got blood sacrifice in the Bible too. I mean, it was another person in the Bible named Jephthah, and Jephthah sacrificed his daughter to win a war. He sacrificed his virgin daughter to win a war. So this is even in your Bible. So all you Christians out there that are trying to condemn these musicians for getting into blood sacrifice, you obviously don't read the book that you believe in, because in the Bible they say that it was God that asked these people to do these things. See, they don't make the distinction. I'm making the distinction that it was a lesser God, but in the Bible they don't make the distinction that it was a lesser God that is coming in and asking these particular individuals to do these sacrifices. So that's how that's going down. So if you want to really get into the music industry, you need to read your contract. You need to learn corporate law, learn UCC law, and or if you can't understand this, then you need to go to a person, not an attorney, because an attorney works for them. Because like that's another way that they get these entertainers. They go to an attorney and then come to find out the attorney is working on behalf of the label. So even though he might be your attorney, so Carl, he's working on their behalf. So he's not going to really educate you on exactly what this contract is saying, and that's what happens. These are young people, they get in these contracts, and they be really poor from the hood, and they just looking for money, and they don't know nothing about corporate law or contract law. So before you really get out here and start making your music, not only should you copyright your music, but you should form a corporation. You should form a corporation, because corporations are the order of the day nowadays. You need to incorporate yourself, especially if you don't understand the laws of UCCs. I mean, there's ways to go around it. There's ways around it, and you don't have to incorporate yourself, but that's what I suggest for the average youngster out there coming up, is that if you don't understand how to incorporate yourself, you need to get with somebody that understands the UCCs and the law, like myself, and there's other individuals out there that will work on your behalf. There is not no agent for the labels, because I'm not an agent for the labels. I mean, I was in the music industry myself, but I gave up on all that because I didn't see a need for me to get into it. It was too cutthroat or whatever. But so I'm not an agent for the labels, but I'm explaining to you just tidbits of information on how the music industry works. And I only have 15 minutes here, so I'm going to go ahead and come back with a part 2. I'll be right back.